All right, we're on.
Yeah.
So here we are. I'm here with Mom, Peggy, or Margaret, whichever way you like to be addressed.
Peggy, most people know me as.
Yes. If you don't know her, yes, Peggy. Okay. And we're intrigued by this passage, I think, right?
Yes.
Paul, 1 Corinthians 13. So it's only like a half a page, not even, and yet there seems to be a lot to kind of absorb with it, and so we want to spend a little time with it. But the first thing I want to start with was just a little thing from the Old Testament, Jeremiah, the prophet, which, as you told me, a prophet doesn't necessarily predict the future, but he just channels the words of God, right?
Or says things as they really are. Yeah.
He's speaking the words of...
Oh, well, yes.
So if I do that, I'm speaking the words of God.
Yeah. Well, you're quoting the prophet. Yeah, right.
No, I'm really speaking the words of God.
Oh.
So I hope this building is bulletproof. Okay. So anyway, and he says, I remember this one. It's about the eventual Israelites' liberation from Babylonian captivity. Mm-hmm. And Jeremiah says, and I think you'll see how this kind of fits in with the rest of what we'll be talking about. He says, I know the plans I have for you, plans for peace, not disaster, reserving a future full of hope for you. And then, when you come and call on me, when you come to plead with me, I will listen to you. If you seek me, you shall find me. Yes. If you seek me with your whole heart, I will let you find me.
Yes.
Okay. And so, and I think that will kind of help us. And we're going to skip ahead to Paul, and then go back to John, which is kind of like the end of the gospel. So, but I think you'll see how this will fit in. If I can get this light to work or something. So, okay. So now, at the end of 1 Corinthians 12, I mean the chapter just before that, he says the order of importance in spiritual gifts, love. Well, he says that we have this, by the way, Jerusalem translation, and this is available online for free, and we will put the text of what we're mainly talking about below the video, and also a link so that you can follow along with any of the passages that you like, or compare them with your favorite interpretations. But for now, we're looking at this in the Jerusalem Bible, where it says, be ambitious for the higher gifts, and I'm going to show you a way that is better than any of them. And then we have this little half a page of things that people have been trying to figure out, I think, for a long time, don't you?
Yes.
Well, he says, I got to put my glasses on so make sure I get it right. He says, in the beginning of 13, he says, if I have all the eloquence of men and of angels, but speak without love, I am simply a gong booming or a cymbal clashing. It's just a noise. If he doesn't have love, I guess they can't see me too much. All right, so listen, if I have the gift of prophecy, understanding all the mysteries there are, and knowing everything, and if I have faith in all its fullness to move mountains, but without love, then I am nothing at all. So all knowledge is subservient to love. Knowledge is a lesser gift, And so he mentions this love, and then he goes on to say what it is and what it isn't, and then I can tell you it's not the same as a dictionary definition. I mean, this is quite a different thing. You know, he says, love is always patient and kind. It is never jealous. Love is never boastful or conceited. It is never rude or selfish. It does not take offense and is not resentful. Love takes no pleasure in other people's sins, but delights in the truth. It is always ready to excuse, to trust, to hope, and to endure whatever comes.
Yes.
Go ahead and look in the dictionary. It says it's nothing like this.
Right.
Nothing like this.
Right.
So the first thing I thought was, well, it sounds like Paul's never been in love before, because, you know, any earthly relationship, you experience all these things, sometimes in spades.
Yeah.
You know. I hope they can hear me okay. Anyway, in the end here, to endure whatever comes. That's the hard part, you know. To endure whatever comes. Whether you have a baby or a lover or whatever, to endure whatever comes. And it's amazing what you might have to put up with in life. But, you know, it says it's always ready. This is what love is and what it isn't, you know. So what he's describing here is something perfect. This love. But I don't believe he's talking about a love that you can only have in the afterlife, some idealized thing that only happens when you're dead.
No, I would agree.
Well, I think he's telling us something that we already have. We can't be perfect. We know this. We'll see this later, through a glass darkly. We can never be perfect, but that doesn't mean that we can't have perfect things. And he's saying that we do. He's saying that we do. I'm sure of it. I mean, look at what he says next. Love does not come to an end. Elsewhere, it's translated as love never fails. You know. So they should mean the same thing. Whatever, in the ancient Greek, you know. So, but to say it doesn't come to an end or it doesn't fail. Well, what he described just now, it can't fail. It can't. I mean, if you take it seriously, this love, it can't fail. I mean, it's one of the most indestructible things that we have, you know.
He calls it a higher gift. Be ambitious for the
Be ambitious for the higher
gifts.
gifts, but I think that it's it says and he shows this to us, you know, one by one they disappear, you know, because he's using time here. Love does not come to an end, right? But that means like a kind of time instead of love never fails. So why are they the same? Well, the thing is that he's not really using time in a literal sense. Right? That he has love does not come to an end. But if there are gifts of prophecy, the time will come they must fail. Or the gift of languages, they will not continue forever. And knowledge, even this too, the time will come when it must fail. And elsewhere is translated as knowledge will vanish away. Knowledge will vanish.
Yes.
That's a funny
Yes.
concept for a scientist.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You walk through the pearly gates, your mind gets wiped clean. I don't think that's what they're talking about here.
No,
So, no, he's talking about the here and now. He's not talking about the afterlife. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
In fact, like, let's see, they went through those three things. You know, even knowledge, the time will come when it must fail. But he's not using time as a, you know, the time when we'll be older or wiser or dead or whatever, you know. He's using time as a scale, saying these are the lesser gifts and these are the higher gifts. And these lesser gifts are not going to bring you to the higher gifts. And not only that, but you can't bring them with you. They will have to disappear. Okay? The heart can reach higher than the mind. That's what he's trying to tell us, you know. So, let's see, where was I? So, for our knowledge is imperfect, our prophesying is imperfect. Notice language has disappeared already, right?
Yes.
He's illustrating it just in his verbiage, verbal thing here. So, for our knowledge is imperfect, our prophesying is imperfect. But once perfection comes, all imperfect things will disappear. But that will happen in this life, or it won't happen at all. And he interrupts himself here while he's trying to illustrate this to us. Right? One of them already disappeared. Languages already disappeared. And he interrupts this himself and he says, look, when I was a child, I used to talk like a child, I thought like a child, I spoke like, argued like, thought like a child, whatever. But now, I am a man. He's talking about the present tense. I am a man. Now I'm a man. All childish ways are put behind me. He's not talking about the afterlife. He's talking about us right now. And he says, now we're seeing a dim reflection in the mirror. And that's the way it's like with the Corinthians, he's writing to them. They were famous for their Bronze Age mirrors or whatever, the kind of, you know, little thing nice and polished, but it's dim. You know, you can't see it clearly. It's like we can't see God's plans clearly. We're not going to be perfect. But that doesn't mean we can't have perfect things. And he's telling us that we do. Okay. And I'll clarify that a little bit. But so now we're seeing a dim reflection in the mirror through a glass darkly. That's the glass. The looking glass. You know. But then we shall be seeing face to face. Now what that means, seeing face to face, I don't know, heart to heart. I don't know how to explain that. When he says face to face, I don't really know. I have to say. Face to face with what or whom? I don't know. How can you fully know God's plans while you're mortal? I don't think it happens. So I'm not really sure what he's saying here towards the end. He said, the knowledge I have now, this sentence I understand, the knowledge that I have now is imperfect. He's talking about regular knowledge, like facts or science or something like that. He says, but then I shall know as fully as I am known. He's talking about two different kinds of knowledge here. The second part, I will know as fully as I am known. Now, you'll know, I don't know if he'll know Jesus or Jesus will know him. I don't know who he's talking about, really. He doesn't say. So I really don't know that part. So, but he says, in short, there are the three things that last: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. You know, So, but again, I think he's saying our hearts can reach higher than our minds, because he's saying that these are lesser gifts, this knowledge, but this hope and faith and love. These are parts of our earthly life, you know, and places where we have a chance to do something. Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of pointless to tell us about what's going to happen when we get to heaven. I mean, we'd probably get some movies or something, I don't know. So, anyway, and
I
so,
think that's an important point. Our hearts can
reach higher than our minds. I think that's what he's saying here.
Higher or deeper.
Yeah, and then he says here, he's talking about himself in the same vein later in Paul, Philippians. Let's see, we're talking about Philippians 3, 12, I guess. It's that not that I have become perfect yet. I have not yet won, but I am still running. So he's in the race. He knows what his life is about, and he's committed to it, and he's in the running. He says, "You, my brothers, I am far from thinking that I have already won. All I can say is that I forget the past. You leave the past behind you, you know. And I strain to ask for what is still to come. I am racing for the finish, for the prize to which God calls us upwards to receive in Christ Jesus. We who are called perfect must all think in this way." And so we are called perfect. Perfect is in quotation marks. They're really not going to be perfect, but they're the ones that are after the perfection. You know? So, you know, and then I got these things in order. You have post-its
Yes,
and
yes.
So we've gone through the 1 Corinthians 13, which I don't expect anybody to be satisfied with just this little, diatribe here, or reading that we have. But I think that everyone can, comment below on their experiences or whatever they think about it. But anyways, for now, we're going back to John. Anyway, so
I'd just like to say something there. Paul says he has not become perfect yet. I think he means through the gift of love. In other words,
well, he's a human being. He's not going to be perfect. He knows that, but he can become more perfect.
Yeah, what I meant though, because love is a gift. It's not just him.
Love is a gift?
Yeah.
Whose gift?
I thought it said that in
I
the beginning.
have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Anyway, so we'll go back to John here for a little bit to kind of, I guess, help reinforce what Paul said. What do you call it? Apostle Paul, is that, or Saint Paul?
Saint Paul. Either.
Well, there's Saint Paul in Minnesota, so is it the same guy? Or?
The Apostle Paul, I think.
Who was the Saint Paul then?
In Minnesota?
I don't know where he's from, but St. Paul, Minnesota.
Paul of Tarsus.
Was he a saint or just an apostle?
He's a saint.
So St. Paul. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So St. Paul. Anyway, so in John, he said, this is called the farewell discourses. It's a little sad, and he says, "My little children." Can we get ourselves together? Okay, so, "My little children, I shall not be with you much longer." That's what he calls them. He says, "I give you a new commandment. Love each other just as I have loved you."
Yes.
It's part of the farewell discourse.
Yes.
Is this one of the last things that we're being told? One of the last things that's revealed to us, I think. So it said, by this love you have for one another, everyone will know that you are my disciples. And I've seen that among people who've never heard of Jesus. I'm not kidding. It's like Chinese or something like that. And there's even something here that says, it doesn't matter where you come from or who you are, or that sort of thing. The real Christian love belongs to everybody.
Yes.
It's in everybody's heart.
Yes.
That's, I mean, that's what Paul was trying to say,
Yes.
It's in the human heart.
Yes.
And I've seen that
Yes.
in people. I don't care if they're foreigners or whatever. I mean, it's just it's a natural thing, that people are drawn to, I think. And so by this love you have for each other, everyone will know that you are my disciples. So according to this book, I am a disciple. Anyway, so let's see what else. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Several times I found in John. Actually, we're in John 14 here. Several times it says, "Whatever you ask for in my name, I will do it." And then, right, the next sentence, if you ask for anything in my name, I will do it. In my name, that's what he said, and it's at least three. I've seen it 3 times here, So, and so, what does that mean? It's like, well, Jesus, I'd like this new motorcycle with the metal flake finish on it, in green, if you can find it. You're asking in his name, but you're asking for the right thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Very important.
So the asking for the higher gifts. I think that is, if you're really serious about it, you ask for it, that you'll find it. He will make a way for you to have it. So let's see, where was I? There is an end to this here. And it's coming up soon. So let's see. And it reminded me a lot of the Staubles. And I'm telling you, I maybe never more proud to be a Stauble. Just reading.
Just say that again. Make sure.
I've never been more proud to be a Stauble.
And say again why.
Well, let me just go through it. I haven't gotten to it yet,
Okay.
So, let's see. It says, anything you ask for from the Father, He will grant you in my name. Until now, you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive. So do you believe at last? Listen, I like that's the way they deal with time in the Bible, because it's so screwy. It says, listen, the time will come. In fact, it has come already. So our binary minds are looking at like, which is it, But he says, I have told you all this so that you may find peace in me. In the world you will have trouble. See, this is an important thing, I think, that if we follow all the things, that we'll still get into trouble and we'll still get attacked on the street or sent to war or whatever. We'll still have this. We will have trouble in the world. We're not eliminating that by this recognition that we have. He says, in the world you have trouble. He says, but to be brave. Why? because
I have overcome the world.
I have conquered the world.
I have conquered the world.
So,
It's quite a strong statement.
it certainly is, you know. So, but without the love thing, there's not going to be much to it. So, okay, and there's another thing about shoulder my yoke and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Yes, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Well, why is that? Now, why would a yoke, for those of you who are not in the Rao family, a yoke is something they put on a horse or a beast of burden or something to control it, you know. So a yoke, and then the burden is something they put on the back. So, and you say, yes, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So why would that be?
Yeah, I think you said earlier, because the yoke is truth.
You're yoked to the
Yoke
truth.
to the truth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not burdened by it. You know? You're not burdened by carrying it. You travel around, you drive to the store. Does your heart feel heavy?
No.
Well, it's easy then. Your yoke is easy and your burden is light.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So I don't think I really have much else here.
The new commandment, did you do that one?
Yeah, I give you a new commandment, to love each other as I have loved
That's
you.
right.
Oh, wait a minute, I almost kind of, no, there's a little bit more, I think.
My joy.
Well, this is my commandment, love one another as I have loved you. I mean, he says it about 3 times in like 3 pages or something. So, and then the other one is, there are 2 things. Love each other as I have loved you, and the Father will give you anything you ask him in my name. In my name. You will get it if you ask for it. You know? So, and it says here, and this is what makes me proud to be a Stouffville, I guess. It says, you did not choose me. No, I chose you. And I commissioned you to go out and to bear fruit that will last. And then the Father will give you anything you ask him in my name. What I command you is to love each other. That may seem like a funny thing to command people to love, but what he's really commanding us to do is to be honest with ourselves and look into our hearts and see the divine, nature, I think. Let me say in Paul, you know. So this kind of reflects back. I mean, it came after John, but it sort of reflects back on it, I think,
This came after.
John's before the Paul, and Paul came, right? You know what I mean?
No, Paul was written first. Paul's letters.
Before John.
By order in the order in the Bible is John is first, but Paul was written at an earlier date than John. All of Paul's writings. John was written quite late in the 1st century.
Oh, so it came after Paul?
All Paul's
well,
writings.
Then that would make more sense. I mean,
earlier
because
than John.
well, because of the way, like I'm saying, the way this all reflects back here on John.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
I mean, because that's why I skipped from the front to the back.
Yeah.
So
sorry,
I didn't know that before either. So Paul came before the Gospels.
Yes.
Or before John?
Before they were written, yeah.
Before any of the Gospels?
And John is the last of the 4 Gospels.
All right, anyway, so we don't want to get into the minutiae here. So I guess we'll just finish here. I think we got everything.
You had one on my joy.
Joy?
Your joy will be complete. Was that one that you had? Or not? In John?
Joy will be complete. I don't remember that.
Maybe not.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. There's the advocate. I mean, there's a lot of other
Yeah,
stuff we
yeah.
could get into,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think
Okay.
we wanted to concentrate us on 1 Corinthians 13 and maybe the antecedents to that from John and just kind of put something together so that people could watch it and maybe chat about it a little bit, you know. So, but I think that's about it. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
So, all right. I don't want to take too much time. All right.